Here is my trip to Finland, part 1. I took the metro to the airport where I hopped on a flight to Iceland, and there was a literal active volcanic eruption happening at the airport. It did not ultimately affect my flight, and I went onwards to Finland. My luggage did make it to Helsinki, but it had one less wheel. This actually was the worst thing that happened on the trip, so hey, that's not too bad. I enjoyed a little cappuccino and Runeberg torta at the train station before Maxi Rainbow and I jumped on our train to Tampere. And let's have a moment of appreciation for our shoes, which are actually a lot more sensible than you probably would have expected. It was cold in Tampere. I'm talking minus 27 C, but that did not stop us from going and walking out through the city to have dinner at a place called Hook. Hook is a pirate-themed sports bar that serves American food and has locations all around Finland in the major cities. The inside of this one looked like an actual pirate ship. And I have to say the food was pretty good. We got chicken wings, fried vegetable platter. We got also an assortment of sauces. The only thing I'd say is the sauces could have been way, way hotter. It was a pretty good travel day and first night out, and it was so great to be reunited with my friend for the start of a new adventure. My first full day in Finland started off with a bit of goofing off at the hotel. And then we went for a press trip visit hosted by Visit Tampere. I will be having a longer video about everything we did with Visit Tampere, but I'm just going to give you some of the highlights. First, we went to the Vapriki Museum. This place was really cool. They had this brand new exhibit, Manserok, which was about some famous musicians. They also had a cool natural history exhibit. They had a visiting exhibit, which was about fairy tales. And then we went for a little trip to the lake. Most people did kick sledding, but I actually brought my ice skates to Finland, so I ice skated the whole way. And we went to this little lighthouse where we had hot drinks. At this point, I jumped on a train to Turku, where I went on a little bit of a side quest. I got ready to brave the cold and walked over to Logamo to meet the Portion Boys. What? This was a totally surreal experience, but it was really amazing to hang out with them a little bit before the show. When the time came, we walked down this iconic hallway at Logamo, and then we headed towards the stage. I had never spent time with celebrities or rock stars before, and this was such a crazy experience, but mostly because they were just such nice people that it didn't even feel weird. It just felt right. The concert itself was wild and crazy and out of control, and it was just so amazing to finally see them live and to sing all my favorite songs with this band that I have become so obsessed with over the past year. I just couldn't believe it was happening. So I'm going to end this video with a little bit of one of my favorite songs about enjoying life. After having just 3 hours of sleep in Turku, I headed back to Tampere, met Maxi Rainbow at the hotel where we packed up our stuff, and then headed over to the arena for UMK Day. Now, believe me when I tell you that the Nokia Arena is amazing. As soon as I walked in, I was like, this place has got to host Eurovision because it was just mind-blowing. I mean, look at this freaking light show. I was truly blown away by the atmosphere in here. And then it was time for the show. And what a show it was. Because we were with press, we had third row seats for the rehearsal. And oh my God, just look at this footage. It was so amazing to be so close and to really see exactly how this TV show gets made. And of course, we were there when the egg opened up for the very first time, which is just iconic and unforgettable. After rehearsals, I went to the press conference, and this was actually my first time ever being at a press conference. It was really cool to see the artists interacting with other people and hearing other people's questions. And of course, the swagger on these ones, you would have thought they had already won the contest at this point. After the press conference, I ran into Portion Boys in the hallway. That was cool seeing them again. For the main event, our seats were in the back of the arena, but actually the view was incredible. There's a totally different vibe from rehearsals when you're up close. And at the end of the night, we got to see Cha 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 one more time, and it really just never gets old. I saw him perform a few times in Liverpool, but every single time is unique and special, and this was such a great moment. Even the little paperclip thing was having a great time. After the show, I had a little costume change, did some touristy things, met a ton of people, and I also partied my butt off at the Eurovision disco. Then at the end of the night, not only did I get to see Sara Sipala sing, I also got to meet her. This was truly amazing. After that, I went back up to my room, which was a total mess, but so was I. This is the face of a person who is jet-lagged, underslept, overstimulated, and no longer making dopamine. I was Baskana. My trip to Finland, part 4. It was really cold again, but that did not stop us from going out. We headed over to the Moomin Museum, and I really had no idea what to expect here, but I have to say that I was super impressed. The exhibits are beautiful and whimsical, and it's a great place to visit whether you're young or old, or even if you don't know anything about Moomin. Then we went back over to the Vapriki Museum so that I could see the Finnish Hockey Hall of Fame. As a big hockey fan, it was super cool to see trophies like the Canada Bowl, historic hockey equipment, really awesome collection of old jerseys, and they even had a jersey from my home state of Pennsylvania. There was also much-deserved Pelicans representation, and I got to play in this really fun interactive exhibit where I was able to shoot around a little bit. Check out this celly. I was so proud of myself. We braved the cold yet again and grabbed some warm food on the way back to the hotel at Koti Pizza. I waited for 2 hours, then I headed up to the hotel sauna, which was actually on the roof. It was so nice to have the sauna all to myself. It got pretty hot in there, so I stepped out into the frigid -20°C air to cool off. And I even did this bucket thing, which actually felt pretty nice too. And then we finished the day the way that it started, with a little bit of the Moomins. My trip to Finland, part 5. We stayed at the Käärijä Airbnb, and this was an incredibly unique destination. The flat was small, but it was comfortable, and there was tons of cool artwork and nice little details all over the apartment. Loved this painting. They had all of these beautiful photographs with their stories, and even some cute stuff that I think fans made. We took a short taxi ride to Vanta to visit the Fazer experience. The first thing that you do on the tour is walk through an amazing tropical greenhouse that grows all the ingredients used to make chocolate. Then you get to see the raw materials that they use, and there's even a way to get a few whiffs of some of the ingredients as well. The tour also takes you through a gallery with a variety of different art installations and interactive exhibits, which all have a connection to the products that are made by Fazer. And at the end of the tour, there's a special treat. You get to sample all of the most iconic Fazer products. I tried so many that I gave myself a stomachache. After that, we made dinner at the flat, and finally went to bed at a reasonable hour. In the morning, I tried on the famous bolero. Then we went to check out the mural. And finally, I got rid of my old suitcase and we headed to the next destination. My trip to Finland, part 6. I spent 2 days in Helsinki, which were mostly pretty chill. I did have 3 interviews. One of them was at this bakery, and this stuff looked amazing, but I actually didn't eat any of it. In the evening, we walked around the city, and it totally dumped snow on us, but actually that was fine because it gave the city a really magical atmosphere. The next day was Valentine's Day, and I spent it alone, but that was okay because I finally got some much-needed me time. I got to go ice skating, which was one of the things that I was most looking forward to. I actually spent 4 months learning how to skate just so that I could do it on the trip, and it was so worth it. This was such a beautiful place to skate that at one point I actually just had to lay down in the snow and cry because it was just all so wonderful. After that, I warmed up with some Vietnamese food, and then I spent the night at a friend's house. That's fucking insane. One of the highlights of my trip to Finland was visiting Lahti for a Pelicans game. The weather kinda sucked, but the fan spirit was all over town. During the daytime, I went to get a tour of the arena and watch some guys practice on the ice while I had lunch at their restaurant, which was a delicious buffet, and even some of the players were eating in the restaurant with me, which was really cool. Of course, I came here for the hockey game, but also to see Pekko Pelikani, the best mascot in all of Liga. I mean, come on, look at this guy go. He's just the cutest thing ever. The atmosphere inside of the arena was really incredible. It was almost a packed house, but the fan zone was absolutely full, and they really kept the mood going throughout the entire game. Also, look at my seats. Hello. I was right behind the players' bench and I could see all their emotion when they were on the ice. And then, at the end of the game, Pekko came. He was right next to me. He did a little dance. I was absolutely screaming inside. I mean, this guy just really gets the crowd going. It was so cool to see him up close finally. And of course, we won the game, which was exactly what I wanted to see happen. And we won in overtime nonetheless. It was such an exciting moment. I couldn't believe that I was finally there to see my team win. And I even got to celebrate the win with Pekko, which was so cool and just more than I ever could have hoped for. Until Pekko took me out on the ice after the game. I was absolutely in shock. If I didn't have it on camera, I wouldn't even believe it happened. I was so overcome with emotion, and I just couldn't believe what an amazing day I had had in this great city of Lahti with so many wonderful people and the entire Pelicans organization, which really gave me one of the best memories of my life. Thank you to everyone in Lahti.